Hello, welcome back to the Roots Up podcast. I'm Ryan Maleitzke. We're doing a highlight episode on Denton Diablos and the NPSL Lonestar Conference. They're an expansion club in 2019, and I'm with Damon Gochneaur
Yeah.
of the Diablos. And how are you doing? You going into your first season? What kind of sparked the idea of starting an NPSL club?
No, yeah, that's great, man. I appreciate it. We're super excited. We are at this today as we speak. We're just under 5 weeks out from our home opener and our season opener. So, all of literally a year's worth of work at this point. It's our Twitter anniversary today. So, in a lot of ways, that marks a significant milestone for the formation of a club. Like, when did you join Twitter? And so, yeah, it's been an awesome ride. And I know in all reality, the best parts are yet to come. Right. So first win, first goal, first whistle, first kickoff, first yellow card, first red card, first coach red card. Like all these will be seminal moments that I can't wait to witness. So to your question, the second part, why start an NPSL club or where did it come from? It really just came from organic. So I've played the game at a moderate level. In high school, played club soccer for the Texans back in the mid '90s. Played in the Dallas Cup as a youth player, captained my high school team, went and played college soccer, came home, no opportunity to continue beyond that. Had a few buddies that I played club soccer with that played in the MLS, and behind that, there was really nothing going on other than playing indoor. So that wasn't really an option. Went to work, 15 years later, have achieved a small modicum of success with my marketing agency that I own and some other things going on. Have a family, got back in the game because my son is in love with the game. So coach, have a kid in an academy with FC Dallas, and his coach played for the Vaqueros, Jamie Lovegrove. And so because we're supportive of our own, we're tribe mentality people. We'd go to 2 years ago, we went to our first Vaqueros game to support Coach Jamie. And we sat on the sidelines at Farrington Field and fell in love with NPSL soccer, in all honesty. The access, the quality, the uniqueness, the flavor, the character, it all just fit into kind of scratching some itches that I had already, and a lot of things, and it's a continuation of a lot of things that I've done in life already. So, it really started with a conversation with Michael Hitchcock and I about a year and a half ago, or maybe 15 months ago. We met at Eastside Social Club in Denton, Eastside Denton, which is it's now our main jersey title sponsor. We had some cocktails and talked about soccer and the landscape of soccer and what we saw as the vision and the future and ideas we had and things that we wanted to see happen and done and the role that we thought we could play. And the first step in a long master plan that we both kind of share and vision is NPSL franchise in Denton. And Denton was a great market for a lot of reasons. It doesn't have a pro team. It's got almost 250,000 people within a 5-mile radius. So from a demographic standpoint, it's strong. It leans heavy into places we want to be. It skews really young because of two major universities. You've got almost 50,000 college-aged kids in Denton City proper, commuting in and out, telecommuting. So it fit a lot of boxes and checked a lot of things from an operational and organizational standpoint that we knew a successful club needed. So Hitchcock, I shared a lot of the learnings that he had with the Vaqueros, and that really allowed us to fast forward and ramp up and really bring to market a product that we feel really, really proud of without having to clear a lot of the hurdles that other teams struggle through. Starting first and foremost with our brand, but then continuing all the way through to at some point potentially or planned youth academies, our own stadium that we either own or have a rights management agreement with the city, and a lot of different big ideas about ways that we can impact the game locally for our community, for our region, for kids at all ages. And then ultimately, I've said it from the beginning that in my goal one day, whether it's my own son at my highest dream or at the next level, anybody else's son that comes through, that ultimately one day we're a stepping stone for somebody on their journey to the national team. So my goal is to, we can change soccer at the highest level, even by coming in at what some would call the lowest level of professional or semi-professional soccer. So I think the NPSL offers a unique opportunity and plays a perfect role in the hierarchy. And I think what the way the league is structured, from the ownership and the way we are all bought in, to the plans they have for the Founders Cup and the NPSL 1, or whatever they're going to call the next iteration of a full season, longer calendar, higher travel, semi more professional league, whatever, however they that actually comes to maturation. I felt like it was a really unique opportunity and a better investment and a better vehicle to achieve the goals that I have, both for the club and the game as a whole. Is that a fair answer?
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's beautiful how the passion and love for a game can turn into, it can sprout up from an idea and come into fruition where it is now. And I really like the direction you guys are heading in. And this year in 2019, NPSL had a huge expansion last year. A lot of teams came in the league, a lot of new flavor and logos, and there's a variety of what clubs are aiming for. And this year is a smaller class.
Yep.
Not as many teams entering the league, and the Denton Diablos definitely stood out branding wise. Their logo stuck out, and so where did the branding and the logo come from?
No, that's a great call. I mean, again, kind of organic. So before I had conversations with Hitch, I own a marketing agency in Denton, and I feel like I have a pretty good pulse on the community and the city as a whole. It's different. It's a blue dot in a sea of red, if that makes sense. It's a super progressive, liberal, open-minded, fun, quirky, weird community. And there's a lot of things about Denton already that skewed towards kind of darker. We have a Krampus festival and the holidays, which is a German kind of monsterish creature that dresses up and walks around and hands out gifts and treats. So they have a big Day of the Dead festival. They have a massive Halloween festival that's like a week-long celebration. So there was just a lot of pieces already that fit, and I knew Denton would embrace a team that had a little edgier vibe. So what we did is focus grouped it. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I liked the Denton Diablos, and that was one of my birth child, or one of my babies out of the beginning of brainstorming all the different ideas. And we had gone from everything from real literal and trying to find history and markers and unique pieces, to then playing off of the UNT and their colors and the Eagles. And we just did a focus group of about 50 or 100 people that we found through an online company that offered it, and then did some local to get both. Like, hey, logo wise, what looks best? What do you like? What do you gravitate towards? Because, I was talking offline earlier. I created the Diablos to provide opportunity that ultimately I didn't have. I have a 10-year-old right now, and realistically in 6 years, this could be an opportunity for him, right? And so as individually, whatever I do, I have a relatively high expectation for things that I do, that we're going to have success, that they're going to be very well received, and that I'm going to hit the mark, or creatively it's going to have the right look or feel, and I'm going to be proud of it. And so that didn't stop at all. If anything, it's even higher with the Diablos is that, I've played for good clubs and been a part of a lot of different clubs, from the Texans to the Comets to FC Dallas to Solar, to my college and my high school. Ultimately, I wanted something that I knew kids and guys would be proud to wear and would get behind and would think is cool, and gives us a lot of creative ways to take the brand, and a lot of fun things and a lot of fun ideas to have with it that fit. At the same time, I knew that some people aren't going to like it. They're not going to like the idea that it's the Devils for whatever reason, and that there's going to be a small minority that's never going to get behind it, and that's okay. We can't be everybody's cup of tea, but we do enjoy being a lot of people's shot of whiskey.
Yeah, I know when we were talking about logos in our latest Roots Up podcast episode. If you haven't checked that out, that's on the Soccer Roundtable.
I'm going to listen to it.
The iTunes for soccer down here, a subtle plug. But we were talking about, you always want your branding to come back to your roots, local ties, to show where you are. And that's awesome. Someone from Atlanta, Georgia is not necessarily going to know the connection to the community there, but it's beautiful that there really is that community aspect when it comes to branding and how it pays back heritage to that. So that's very cool story behind that. And the Diablos, they announced their first head coach in franchise history with Chad Rakestraw.
Yep.
And, he's had a very developmental history. He's been a very
Yep.
successful high school coach. He's worked with the developmental academy, worked with FC Dallas star Reggie Cannon,
Yep.
and many other MLS players. So
Yep.
he kind of has that developmental. He's a younger coach, has a
Yep.
developmental history. What does that play into, and how does that uh, help the Diablos be successful in their first year and even going into the future as a club?
Yep. No, so I think you hit the nail on the head on the last part of that. Is that yes, I've told you from the beginning, and hopefully everybody knows we are committed to being successful in everything we do as a club, from our branding and the gear we put out, to the events we have, to the way that we appreciate and show love to our sponsors and our season ticket holders, to our events as far as the experience itself on game day. I just got done ordering 30-something flags to help dress the stadium, because we want it to feel like our home stadium. We play at Mean Green Soccer Stadium, which is a first-class Division I grass soccer specific stadium. So no football lines, no other competitions, nothing. It's us and a Division I women's soccer program playing their home games on it, and that's it. So we feel really proud of everything we're doing on that side. And Chad's an extension of that. We wanted someone with local roots. Chad graduated from Geyer High School, played high school soccer in Denton, coached high school soccer in Denton, and now coaches at Marcus High School, which is just 10 minutes down the road. We also wanted somebody that's built a team from scratch or taken over a team that didn't have much and turned it around. And Chad's done that at 2 or 3 stops, and it has a really firm grasp on the kind of culture that he wants to create and how he goes about it, and the way he interacts with his players to create it and to nurture it and to mature it. And so he's won state championships at 2 different high schools. He's had a lot of success, as well as, like you said, with the U.S. developmental system, with ODP, and as well with multiple clubs. Even started his own club in Coppell when he was a high school coach there, as a initiative to start changing the paradigm and help feed himself better talent. So he's just got a really forward vision on the way he wants to approach. And so, to answer your question, we want to have success this year, and I'm really excited to announce our roster. We've got, I think, 5 or 6 Division I universities represented. I think 12 different universities overall represented on our roster and the players that make it up. We've got, former or current U.S. men's national team players. We've got former or current men's national team players from other countries. So we feel really, really proud and really, really special and excited about the group of talent we have. So yes, internally we have high expectations for this year. But the reason we chose Chad specifically is because of the way that we want to approach the future and the vision we have for the way we want to build the club. So, we've already had conversations about next year in 2020 and 2021, and plans we have, things we want to do. And we've talked offline, or I alluded to it earlier. Our biggest visions include, owning or purchasing or working with the city of Denton to co-manage or manage rights to a facility, so that we can truly start to change the game from a offerings perspective to a youth system. And Chad's got history and experience there. So when we started looking at things we wanted, and then, you talked about it, a young coach. Chad's a few years younger than me. I don't consider myself a very old man. I'm 39. And so this is all, from a organizational standpoint, it's all geared to support, offer opportunity, and provide stepping stones for that 18 to 26-year-old, even up to 31, 32-year-old, and whatever their next step is in their career. And we felt like Chad, A, gave us the best chance to have success early, right out of the gate, B, build the right culture and help establish what it means to be a Diablo, and then C, start to poise and set ourselves up for long-term success when we look at the next 2, 3, 5 years. So, I can't listen. I'm the guy that's super optimistic, but I can't wait for the day that we talk about Chad, blazing a new path for successful high school coaches to start getting out of what is perceived to be a very niche category in a lot of parts of the country, when ultimately Chad's coaching kids that are playing at the highest level in every other, capacity, including for the development academy at FC Dallas or Solar or the Texans. So it's really interesting, the opportunity that presents him. Our general manager is a high school soccer coach and has coached a bunch and had success and won state championships. I played high school soccer, and I think there's a real sometimes stigma around it. And it's not like this is some big effort to change that, but it was just part of the story. And it was part of everything that just as we're creating this, we looked around and said, yeah, he's talented. He can help us a lot. He's great. Cool. And when it came to hire a coach, it was the same decision. So, we're super excited and think that we got literally the perfect fit. And we could not find, we interviewed multiple, more than 3 or 4. We interviewed a lot of people, We interviewed a fair number of candidates that were all worthy and all overqualified. We interviewed former NPSL head coaches that had won NPSL national championships that wanted the job. So, it's been overwhelming, the kind of support and interest and level of quality that has turned up, or responded and supported everything we've done in every way. And Chad is just another example of that.
And you touched on the aspect of playing at North Texas's Soccer Pacific Stadium, and it's a 1,000 capacity stadium, and there's room around the stands for people to be and to utilize it in other fashions. But the beautiful place, the turf or the field, I should say, is immaculate.
Yep.
It's a larger playing surface, one of the bigger ones in the NPSL, usually restrained to a smaller high school football field in NPSL. So it's a great playing surface. Awesome place to play in NPSL. But talking about the upcoming season, the Lone Star has become a tough conference to play in.
That's it.
Laredo Heat went 10-0 last year in their inaugural season in NPSL. So, and FC Tyler and Katy and Midland Odessa, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a tough conference to play in. So, going into year one, what are your expectations? What are your goals? Kind of a loaded question, but what is this style of play going to be? What's it going to be?
That's totally fair. No, and everybody has those. Everybody wants to know what can we expect? What do you expect, right? So we have realistic expectations that ground us and that keep us humble, right? And that we feel good about. Ultimately, so and it's different for each category, right? So I'm going to back that up and start with, what do you expect from players? Playing with class, playing with maximum effort, and playing the game the right way, right? So we want to play beautiful soccer. We want to play intense, in-your-face, high-pressure soccer. And a lot of these are Chad questions, and so I'm speaking out of turn in a lot of ways. But from the conversations I've had with Chad and the way I've watched his teams at Capel, at Marcus, and even with the limited practices and scrimmages and things that we've had so far, it should be a fun and exciting. We want to get in. We want to take it to the other team and create opportunities. We're not going to be a defensive shell that's trying to eke out results. Now, with that being said, that means that we're going to run into some buzzsaws. We understand that it's year one, so there's going to be some results that we're not going to be real happy about, and that's just a part of life, And that, listen, the Vaqueros had an awesome season last year, and had some disappointment sprinkled in. That's just that's soccer. So we have realistic expectations. We're going to win some games. I know that for sure. Which ones and how many, I'm not quite sure yet. We'll know much better after the first one. But with that being said, I feel confident that we're gonna have a positive season when it comes to records and results. Our ultimate goal would be to qualify for the playoffs. There's 7 teams in the NPSL Lonestar Conference, and the top 4 qualify for the playoffs. So in year one, if we could find a way to finish above 3 teams in our conference, that would be a huge victory in my book. But I also know realistically that's a really tall order. When you talk about the Heat, when you talk about Midland and the Sockers, and you talk about the Vaqueros, you talk about 3 clubs that have put out year after year good teams. Midland's won the NPSL before. Laredo, like you said, went to the regionals and went deep last year. That's no tall task, or excuse me, no small task with just those 2. Throw in the Vaqueros, that takes up 3 spots real quick. So, we have some games circled on our calendar that are must wins in our mind to try to give us a chance to have to achieve the goals we want. But we know that much like in all reality, the bigger goal is, man, if you said you can have 1,000 fans pack the seat, or you can have nobody show up and you guys qualify for the playoffs, I know you're going to think I'm a nut job, but I'd rather have 1,000 fans pack the seats and us build something in the community that people appreciate. And I'd sacrifice that for a win or 2, or the the result we necessarily wanted to give us the achieve the big goals we have. Because if I know that if to your, we were talking offline, we have high expectations, not just for this year, but for years moving forward. And we have high expectations about where we want this club to go as an organization. And so engaging, supporting, nurturing, building those relationships with the community, with our sponsors, with our fans, with our season ticket holders, it's a paramount importance to us. We've got a beautiful facility that you talked about. It seats 1,000. We're actually probably going to have about, in all reality, about 1,100 to 1,200 seats, because we offer premium sideline seating, so that you can truly sit pitch side below the seats. It's a really cool experience in the shade. It's really nice, and most venues don't have that capacity. So we have some really cool things that we're doing. We have a beer garden at the stadium. We still have some standing room only sections. So, if we really wanted to get them in there, we think we could probably fit about 2,500 in there. And what's great is if we outgrow it and year one, we sell it out, and all of a sudden it looks like, man, where do you go from here? North Texas just built a beautiful new soccer and track facility that is right across the street that seats 1,500. But because of the track, we could pull in temporary bleachers and you could seat 8,000. So we have some really cool opportunities, and UNT's been an awesome partner there. So realistic expectations, get 500 fans to a game. Realistic would probably be the low number that we'd be like, oh, good. All right. Something. 1,000's the goal. I want to get 1,000 people to a game. That's a significant in all of third and fourth division soccer. Hitting that point is crucial. And then from there, you can start to see some real momentum and some real possibilities come to life. So it's hard for a club to survive on 150 or 200 people showing up. So, those are the things that keep me up at night. Nobody shows up to the games. We don't win a single game. Nobody wants to buy any of the merchandise, which they already have. So that's kind of out the window. But all of those things are what keep me up at night, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good vision. A lot of excitement behind that. I think you have your mindset in the right place with the right goals. And thank you so much for your time. Good luck for the upcoming season. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at Denton Diablos and DentonDiablos.com on the interweb.
I appreciate it, Riley.
All right, make sure you're following us along at Roots Up Pod on Twitter. And if you have not already, check out our latest episode where we discuss many of things, including the top NPSL conferences, logos, the Amateur Cup, WPSL, and many more topics. Very fun, exciting episode. You can follow that on Soccer Down Here on iTunes or on Soccer Down Here speaker account. Look for the link on our Roots Up Pod page on Twitter, and be on the lookout for our next podcast dropping in the next few days, where we'll discuss a lot of fun topics. It's gonna be a banger of an episode. And we have another highlight episode that was up a few weeks ago on Lionsbridge FC in USL League 2, formerly the PDO. And until next time, guys, see you later.